I was just hunched down, trying to look like a little monkey behind him. And after an hour or two of that, you can imagine what my body felt like. It was terrible. We ended up pulling over at a petrol station and to take a break. And Alan got off first. And then I just looked at him and I said, I can't get off. I'm cramped. I am so cramped. I can't get off. Eventually, he kind of peeled me off the bike. I did get off. But, oh gosh, that was a day that I do not wish to repeat. So if you've ever had an experience where you're riding in windy weather, either solo or as a pillion, and you can relate to that, this episode is definitely for you. Hey adventurer, I'm Bridget Hallam from Throw Your Leg Over, and today I'm talking about riding in windy weather, which is definitely not one of the most fun things that we can do as a motorcycle rider. But by the end of this episode, you'll have some tips for coping and managing in windy weather, and I'd really love it if you felt a little bit more confident by the end of this episode. And here's why I wanted to talk about riding in windy weather, because it adds to the risk of riding a motorcycle. It adds to our fatigue when we're riding. And of course, it requires much more concentration and focus from us when we're riding. Not so much as pillion, but definitely as a rider. Especially when a really windy day, on a really windy day, a 300-kilometer ride, which normally is, doable, not a problem, it can suddenly feel like a 600-kilometer day when it's windy. So I'm going to cover off on a few things. I'm going to talk about how wind can affect us as riders and as pillions. I'm going to talk about what it means for your motorcycle. And also some tips for you, not from a motorcycle instruction perspective, but more so from my experiences, our experiences, and what we have found helps, and that might help you as well. So let's dive in. Wind affects us as riders. It is physically harder. I know I get very tense in my shoulders and my neck, and also my arms. It can be mentally fatiguing because you've just got to concentrate so much more, and you're kind of looking out for the unexpected wind gusts as well, so that mental fatigue can come on you more quickly. And after hours and hours of this physically demanding riding, this mentally demanding riding in the wind, that all leads to us not enjoying the ride as much. Our anxiety can go up, and maybe even our confidence can take a bit of a hit if we're really struggling with it. The worst wind that Alan and I have faced, I reckon, was when we were in northern Spain. We were on a main road going from east to west, and it was a bit of a transit day. There was no twisties, no sweet curves. It was just pretty much a straight road, but it was windy. And we found out later that this road was quite renowned for being windy. And you'd think that being quite a straight road, we would have had not too many problems with the wind. But, oh my gosh, that wind was swirling around. Like, Alan was looking ahead and I was peeking over his shoulder, and we could see the trees all bending one way, and then the next tree is bending the opposite way. Like, it was that gusty. There were trucks on this road. I'm not sure if it was a highway, but it was a main road. There were trucks everywhere overtaking us. It was really hard. As pillion, I was just trying to keep myself as small as possible behind Alan, so the wind wasn't hitting me, so I wasn't creating even more drag, if that makes sense. So I was just hunched down, trying to look like a little monkey behind him. And after an hour or two of that, you can imagine what my body felt like. It was terrible. We ended up pulling over at a petrol station and to take a break. And Alan got off first, and then I just looked at him and I said, I can't get off. I'm cramped. I am so cramped. I can't get off. Eventually, he kind of peeled me off the bike. I did get off. But, oh gosh, that was a day that I do not wish to repeat. So if you've ever had an experience where you're riding in windy weather, either solo or as a pillion, and you can relate to that, this episode is definitely for you. The second thing is, apart from how it affects you as a rider or a pillion, it can affect your motorcycle as well. In our experience in northern Spain, those crosswinds, oh my goodness. It can feel like the bike's like pushing the wheels sideways from underneath you if the wind is really strong, and that's a bit freaky. Nobody likes that. And especially if the wind's gusting all around, like it might feel like it's pushing you to the right, and then next thing you know, it's pushing you to the left, or a truck's overtaking you, and then it's pushing you every which way. That's not the most pleasant feeling. The main effect that headwinds will have on your bike is that your motorbike's got to work a bit harder, and that means that you're going to use more fuel. And depending on your screen, this relates to you, not so much the bike, but headwinds, if your screen is quite small, that's going to buffet you right in the face as well. And as I said before, that's going to lead to that stiffness and tension in your shoulders and your arms and your back and everywhere. For tailwinds, that's going to change how your bike feels a bit. Like, it's just going to feel a bit different. So you've got to do a bit of a mental adjustment to that. Another thing to keep in mind in terms of your motorcycle is if your motorbike is bigger, like with Beauty, she's a big 1200 GS, when she's fully loaded with the panniers and both of us and the camping gear and everything, she's got the aerodynamics of a house brick, or it feels like it. So you need to keep that in mind as well. If you're on a lighter motorcycle or a more, you're not fully loaded, don't have panniers on, you are going to be a bit more aerodynamic. So that's going to work in your favor a bit. The other thing to think of, if you are loaded up with gear like luggage, top boxes, panniers, that kind of thing, of course that's going to make your motorcycle heavier. And depending on the strength of the wind, that might mean if it's a lighter wind, it's probably not going to affect you as much as if you're on a lighter motorcycle. But if it's strong winds, that's really going to test you. So we've covered off on how riding on windy days can affect you and how it can affect your motorcycle. Some tips and strategies that we've learned over the years. Obviously, the first thing you want to do is increase the distance between you and the vehicle in front of you. If there is one, just try to not be close to another vehicle, especially if it's a truck. Give them a lot of space. Either get ahead or ease back and just give them space to go ahead. Try not to grip the handlebars like your life depends on it. Even though it might feel like it kind of does. Try and keep your hands relaxed. Try and keep your upper body as relaxed as possible, but still keeping enough stability to manage if there's gusts that are unexpected. And you can use your legs as well to add some extra support. Like, don't rely completely on your upper body. Your legs can do a bit of work here as well for you. If it feels safe, slow down. If that's going to make it easier for you, just slow down. Another thing is when you're scanning ahead, obviously we're always scanning ahead as motorcyclists, but when you're scanning ahead, just keep an eye out for exposed areas. There might be like trees right next to you, and then suddenly there are no trees up ahead. So just be prepared for, in that moment, that the wind might change. It might change direction, it might drop, it might start. Just keep an eye out for those exposed areas. If you can feel yourself getting a bit fatigued, if you're struggling a bit with your focus, if it feels like the wind is picking up and getting really quite strong, a bit beyond your comfort level with it, then take a break and give yourself the opportunity to walk around a bit, hydrate, get some blood flowing so you don't cramp up like I did when I was trying to be the size of a monkey behind Alan. You don't want cramps. So take a break and don't do what I did or what we did, which is just wait too long to take a break. If it needs to be every hour, take a break. If it needs to be every 40 minutes, take a break. If it needs to be every 20 minutes, take a break. And if you need to just wait it out, then do that. Find yourself a cafe, somewhere to have a coffee, relax, and just see if it's going to settle down a bit for in an hour or so. Another thing we often don't think about with wind is it can dehydrate us a bit. This is the time when you're stopped to get your drink bottle out, hydrate. Just be careful of coffee. I love coffee, but it does dehydrate you. So if you're having a coffee to relax and refresh, just make sure that you drink some water as well, or a sports drink, something that's going to hydrate you as well. And if the weather's getting quite dire, if that wind is getting severe, then you have complete permission to stop and delay your riding, stay overnight if you can, whatever your situation is, stop if you need to, and change your plans. Totally okay. Absolutely 100% okay to completely change your plans. I reckon wind is one of the few conditions that really give Alan and I pause about riding. Like, rain's not great, heat's not great, but wind is a different kettle of fish. This is my reason for saying to you to reconsider your plans if that wind is really picking up. If it's getting to a point where it's dangerous, there are no prizes for pushing through. No one's going to give you a prize for sticking to your plan and riding through that god-awful wind. Take a moment and consider if the smartest decision that you're making might be to wait it out. At the end of the day, windy days don't have to ruin your riding. They don't have to ruin your adventure. It can be tiring, but it is manageable. Just focus on what you can control. You can control your speed, you can control your spacing from other vehicles, you can decide when to take a rest, you can rehydrate, and you can decide whether to continue as planned or to change your plans. There's no right and wrong about changing your plans. You got to do what's right for you. I say it a lot on this podcast, do adventures your way. That's absolutely crucial. Just do adventures your way. If this is what you want to do, then go for it. If this isn't what you want to do, then do something else. Do what you want to do. There's no right and wrong with your adventures. I hope that has helped you a little bit. Windy days don't mean no riding. They just mean that you need to be aware of how it's going to affect you, how it's going to affect your motorbike, and how you can adapt to the conditions and make it safer and hopefully more enjoyable for you. I hope that has helped you, given you some confidence. And if you've got another tip for what you do when you're riding on a windy day, I would love to know. Send me an email, send me a message. I'd love to know. I would love you to subscribe to the podcast. I would love you to leave a review. A 5-star review would be fabulous, and it helps other riders find this podcast. If you would love to share this episode or the podcast with one of your riding buddies, because you know that she'd love it too, then please do. That would be awesome. And I will see you next week.